everyone, so today we're going to be looking at surnames derived from occupations in English, French,
and Hungarian.
Okay, let's get started. So, the first one we have for you is potter. And potter is someone who works with pots or ceramics.
And in French, this would be un potier, and you would say the family name could be Potier or Le Potier.
In Hungarian, it's fazekos. So it comes from the word fazik, which means a pot.
Ah, it sounds interesting. Fuzzical.
Fazekos.
It sounds like fuzzy.
Oh, I did not think
Reminds
of
you of
that.
fizzy.
Next one, we have butcher. And that is someone who prepares and sells meat.
So in French, it is boucher, which is probably the origin of the word in English.
Probably.
And one of them at least. And yes, boucher is more common, but for most family names that are professions, you can also always have, or in most cases, le in front. So you could also have le boucher, but in this case, boucher is definitely the most common one.
So is it like the butcher?
Yes, and it's always
Okay.
the male version, never
Of
the
course,
female
of course.
version.
it is.
And sometimes it's in two words, and sometimes it's attached.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, in Hungarian we say mészáros, but that's only the person who prepares the meat. It's not the person who sells it.
Oh,
We have a
that's
different word.
words.
We have a different word for that, but that's not a surname.
Ah,
So the other person who sells the meat we call hentes. But I don't think that's a surname. I mean, it can be a surname. I'm not sure. I just don't know anyone with that surname. But mészáros is definitely a common surname.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Next is carpenter. And so carpenter is someone who cuts and joins timber to make buildings.
and in French it would be charpentier. So again, you can have le charpentier as an alternative.
Something a theme here.
So we have two words for carpenter in Hungarian, and they can both be surnames. So I explained the difference in the other video.
Please take a look.
Yeah, have a look. So the carpenter that makes furniture is called asztalos, and the carpenter who works on like structural things in the house is ács.
And both are
Both are surnames, yeah.
equally as popular, as you say.
I think asztalos, the person who makes the furniture, is a bit more common.
Ah, interesting.
At least nowadays.
Next we have a shepherd. And they herd and look after sheep.
So in French it is berger or le berger. And again, it could be spelt, I think more common, le berger, I would tend to say it's in two words.
So in Hungarian we make this again a bit more specific. So we have shepherds, we have a general term for someone who looks after any kind of animal, which is pastor, and that's a surname, fairly common. Then the person who looks after sheep is juhász, and ju is sheep.
Okay, yeah. Like
And
in
then-
English, like the female
Okay.
sheep.
Yeah,
Are you?
are you? Oh, we've spelled it differently, I guess.
I guess. I would imagine.
Yeah.
Got some sort of similarity in the sounds.
Yeah.
And then we have someone who looks after cows in the field, and that's gulyás, which is a very common surname as well.
We then have a tailor who alters clothing.
So tailor in French is couturier. So I've already told you that they're mostly the male version, but interestingly the job is more of
A female
a
dominated
female-dominated job. So you would talk about the profession as being couturière, But well, there are couturiers as well, but more often you talk about the couturière being the person doing the job, but the name is couturier or le couturier.
Interesting. Because like in English, a tailor is generally more male dominated, whereas a seamstress.
Well, that's the thing, is that in French you use the same word, sort of. I mean, the couturier is more this person who designs it, and of course you think about, if you talk about grand couturier, it's always a male.
Yeah.
But if you talk about la couturière, it's the person who's actually doing the sewing.
Okay.
Okay, because like in English it's not that way. Or the tailor, the tailor's more like
the person who's
who designs and then
designing.
and then the seamstress is more like doing the sewing and things.
Okay.
And in French it's both the same word, and actually this applies to all of the names that come from professions are made male, regardless of whether the profession is male or female dominated.
We're used to that.
I think in English there are some which are female, but I can't think of them off the top of my head. But I think there are some, because I was looking.
There might be some, but I think it would really be the exception. And in all of the names that we have here in this video are male ones.
Yeah, but I think there are some. But please comment below if you know what they are.
So tailor in Hungarian is szabó, which is very, very, very common. So if you don't know someone named Szabó, that's just impossible.
Next we have miller, and this is someone who operates a flour mill, and this is very common.
This is a common name as well. So I think the most common one would be le meunier, but there is also meunier. There's meunier, le meunier in 2 words, and le meunier in 1 word.
Just making it difficult for someone to, write your name in a form.
So people who would be called le meunier, for example, they would be very used to being asked, is it all in 1 word, or is it separated? And then you would know straight away how to write it. And if you just say meunier, then it's obvious how. But it's just all of the people who have le, and sometimes with de as well, because most of the de is like a noble name, so it's separated. It's de something, so it's separated. But then there are a few which are together, and then it usually is that it's not actually a noble name originally, and that's how you distinguish. But,
in Hungarian, a miller is molnár, which is again very popular.
Yeah.
Molnár. Yeah. I mean, it sounds
similar to meunier actually. Molnár.
Next is barber, and a barber is someone who cuts or trims beard and hair. Yeah, it's a very male. It's not hairdresser. Barber is male.
Yeah. So this one would also be very male job. And in French it's barbier, so it's not too dissimilar to barber. It's just got an extra letter.
Of course. In Hungarian, it's actually fairly close in sound, I think. Barber.
Oh yeah, barber. Yeah. And is it linked to the word beard?
No.
No, okay. Because
I think
in
it
French,
comes from the French
I
or
think
the
it's
Latin.
Yes, because barbe is the beard, so it's the person who takes care of your beard. But I guess the English comes from the French. So I think it's that way around.
I think it's.
But I was just wondering if when it extends into other countries, because it sounds very similar. If it still is linked as well to the word beard or not.
Okay. Now we have Clarke, and this comes from Clarke, which I think comes from the clergy. But it also is a learned man. And so this profession is like a clerk, so secretary, office work sort of thing, like manages accounts and whatnot.
So in French it would be Claire or Leclerc or Leclerc. And it can be spelled in different ways. So usually it would be It could be either with a C or a Q at the end. I would say are the
Wow.
most. Yes, and you don't.
Q.
Yes, so it would be Leclerq, and it could be all attached. But you would pronounce it exactly the same. So again, you'd have to ask if someone says, "Hello, bonjour, je suis Monsieur Leclerc," then you'd have to ask,
Okay.
"Can I ask you? They probably would ask you, do you spell it like the supermarket? Because there's a supermarket.
And there's a Formula 1 driver.
Yeah, well, there you go. So, or you would, you'd have to specify if it's a C or a Q.
Well, in Hungarian, the word is completely different, but it comes from sort of clergy, so the religious origin, and we have the word that also means priest. So this name is the same word as we use for priests, and it's pop, and that way you can
like from
spell
Pope.
Paps, yeah, something like that. So it comes from like that word, but that is something you can spell two different ways. So you can spell it with one P at the end or two P's. So people with the surname are used to being on like one P or two P at the end.
Yeah.
And to finish, we have the most common English surname, which is Smith. And Smith is a craftsperson who works with metal.
So in French, the job itself, so the profession itself, would be un forgeron. And I don't think this is a common name, but there are a lot of names derived from that profession. So there would be, for example, Ferron, but also so that's going in one direction. It has to do with the iron itself. And then there's Fèvre and Lefèvre and Orfèvre, and all of those I think are going in another
derivatives.
And this is related more to the Fèvre was also, I think, sort of similar or an older word for the profession itself. At least they're all related to Smith, the French version of Smith. And I think there would be a lot more surnames, but they're more loosely derived from it.
Well, we just took the occupation and made it a surname. We say Kovács, and it's, again, if you don't know someone with this name, that's just impossible.
Yeah, so those are our occupational surnames, and if you have any to share, please do so below in your own languages, and thank you for watching.
Sziasztok, Emma vagyok! Sziasztok, Ashley vagyok! Mi már folyékonyan tudunk magyarul. Esti öltözzetek fel, estis megtanulhattok magyarul beszélni. És ne felejtsétek el a csengőt!